Macron's invitation to Prime Minister Modi to co-chair the AI summit is being seen as a very significant gesture, with many also saying that it shows the world sees India as an important partner when it comes to new and emerging technologies. What is India looking at in terms of benefits from the summit?
Indeed, Kiri, that's a very important question that you asked, that when Prime Minister Modi co-chairs the AI summit, it really brings to fore that the contribution that Indian technology and Indian startups can really make in terms of making AI affordable, accessible, and in fact ensuring that those solutions are replicable for all developing and poorer countries. That's the biggest challenge so far. AI has almost been like a situation where richer countries seem to have made strides, while some of the developing and poorer countries are still grappling for solutions. And that's where India really plays such a key role. It provides solutions which are cost effective and also for Global South to really replace and replicate and scale up as well. And in fact, to talk more about the AI summit, to talk more about the role that India could play in this and why India could be central to a global AI revolution, let's now get in Martin Tisné, who's one of the envoys of the AI summit that is set to kickstart in Paris. Mr. Tisné, thanks so much for speaking to NDTV. One of the biggest things that the forum is really trying to do, the summit is really trying to do, is create a global framework for AI to ensure that no country has undue advantage over the others. Let me start by asking you, sir, how crucial do you think this global framework will be for the future of artificial intelligence?
Thank you very much for having me and for asking the question. So I think three things. First of all, it's the first time that we have such a diverse set of stakeholders in the room, and that's hugely exciting. So at the table, we not only have governments, we also have corporates in the private sector from around the world, and we also have civil society from around the world. So I think that it's this multi-stakeholder approach which is critical to the success of the summit. The second one is that the summit not only focuses on the potential harms from artificial intelligence, which was the focus of the first summit in the United Kingdom, it also focuses on the opportunities. So it's really looking at the two sides of the coin here. And I firmly believe that in order to unleash the potential of AI, we need to look at both. We need to look at how we unlock opportunities and at the same time, how we minimize harms. And the third piece is that the summit is based on concrete deliverables, actions. It's the AI Action Summit, and we will be announcing those on Tuesday after the closing session.
Indeed. Indeed. As far as the co-chair of the AI summit is concerned, India is set to play a very important role. How do you envisage India's role in terms of ensuring that this framework the AI framework is accessible to all and not just to the rich countries who've made early strides?
I think the role that India plays is critical. We very much welcome India's role in the summit and our deep working relationship. And obviously, India plays a key role in the ecosystem. It's a pleasure to be working with them.
Okay. We'll come to the India role probably as the summit goes along. But then let me ask you, in terms of the trajectory of AI, where do you see it? Do you see it closer to the profit-led, private sector-enabled model that US is championing? Or do you see that the China model, which is state-controlled and government-led, really having a major role in terms of what will be the future of AI?
So I think the first thing is the future of AI is open. It's not private or public. I firmly believe that it's both. To do this, we need three things. We need to share data. I think that the bottleneck in artificial intelligence increasingly will become data as much as compute, if not more. And when it comes to sharing, accessing data, the state plays a very important role. So that's the first piece. The second one is, in this point of the future being open, I think the open source AI ecosystem is critical. That is an ecosystem that needs support in order to be resilient. And that is an area where both the public and the private spheres play critical roles. And the third one is the participation of citizens. I think that is really important. I'll give you a concrete example when it comes to AI in healthcare and sharing sensitive health data. We need to be working with patient data organizations, for example. And again, that's at the intersection of the public and the private sphere. So I think that it's a combination of both. In order to bend the arc of AI towards the public interest, we need private sector and the public sector on board. I think in the same vein, as I was saying earlier, our focus here is both on unlocking opportunities and minimizing harms, and our focus is really deeply on working with the public and the private.
Mr. Tisné, you spoke about opportunities at the beginning of this interview. How do we ensure that countries do not miss any opportunities, particularly when it comes to resolving social problems? You know, you're very passionate about cancer, you spoke about that, and also to ensure that there's no fragmentation of public interest AI.
Thank you for asking a good question. I think the fragmentation of the field is one of the challenges that we faced when I started this appointment as thematic envoy a year ago. That was one of my key focuses. And the focus there was, how do we reach scale in these areas? And the conclusion is we need to focus on the enabling environment. We need to focus on the ecosystem before looking at particular projects. And that means three things. It means how we share, access, and make available data sets in ways that are both safe and privacy preserving, how we reinforce the open source AI ecosystem, and how we deeply work with affected communities. I think the three pieces there are critical, and that is something for all countries to work together on and embrace. That's the first one. I think the other one is really for us to be outcomes-led and focused on the problem in order to then see how data and AI can potentially work. So to give you an example that I was talking to one of our key experts about earlier this week, if the focus is on understanding the underlying causes and treating long COVID, the question here that we need to address is a combination, very complex combination of environmental data, genetic data, nutrition data, and in looking at that problem, then seeing how artificial intelligence can help. So I think being problem-centered and hypothesis-focused is super important.
So global leaders are meeting at Paris to try and find collective solutions that AI can enable for nations. How far away are we from government incubating such solutions that can be scaled across the world?
So I think we're close. I see a key role for governments around data. I call that the public interest advantage. You know, money can buy compute, it often can't buy data. And I think we're close. The thing to bear in mind is that a lot of the conversation at a global level to date about artificial intelligence has been around an optimization for artificial general intelligence. So it's been around how it's possible. Many of these firms are focused on how it is possible to achieve a moment when effectively AI can work without human input, right? AI effectively gains a semblance of consciousness. Now, that might be a long time away. What we're focused on at this point, we are focused on the harms and the opportunities, is looking at how, with the tools, the approaches that we have today, we can very concretely help towards solving challenges in health, for example, and in education. And for that, I really don't think we're very far.
Okay. You are one of the envoys of this summit. What are your expectations from this summit, and how do you think the outcomes will really reshape the world's global AI journey?
Look, I'm excited about us focusing on collaboration in artificial intelligence rather than competition. I think we're at a key moment in the AI market. The AI market is shape-shifting. I think what's happened over the past few weeks, and we were expecting this with open models, so the ability to have models that are open, that anyone can use and tool with, I think that's a huge opportunity for the public interest and one to seize. I think the summit comes at this critical juncture where the AI market could go one of two ways. One of them is a real focus around proprietary models, where effectively you're paying to have access to the model, or a focus, an open focus, where the value is in distribution and the value is in services. And this is firmly where I think we can and should be going. So the expectation for me for the summit is that we are bending the arc of artificial intelligence in that direction. And I will really look out in that vein for announcements on Tuesday related to public interest AI. I think we have a big opportunity. We've seen this happen over the past 15 years with social media, and I look forward to a future where for our kids, it is possible to use artificial intelligence in a way that sparks their creativity and sparks their imagination rather than dulls it.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, Mr. Tisné, I have to ask you this question about resources. How big a constraint do you see that for some of the developing countries to really harness AI's full potential?
I firmly believe that the world is not divided between AI givers and AI takers. I think collaboration is the way forward. And one of the key initiatives which we will be announcing, one of the key partnerships we'll be announcing on Tuesday, will be the creation of a financial or funding vehicle to really enable these public interest partnerships to thrive globally, collectively, between countries, between the private sector, government, and civil society on a very different scale than we've seen to date. So I'm optimistic.
All right, that's always a great note to end the conversation. Thank you so much, Mr. Martin Tisné, Summit Envoy for the Paris AI Summit, talking exclusively to us about the expectations in terms of what all can this summit achieve to ensure that the global AI journey from here on is on the highway.